Are you ready to create? Let's do it. To get started, you need to choose your tour location, the type of tour, and pin the first point of interest, or POI, and give it a name. So let's go ahead and do National Mall, DC. Type it right up there in this search window. Great. Let's zoom in a little bit so we know where we're at. So you can make driving tours, walking tours, or off-road tours. And the icon for that is here in your creation panel. There's the car, driving, walking, off-road. Driving tours need to be on public roads and will follow traffic patterns like one-way streets, okay? Off-road tours can be either on or off official roads. They can be in like cemeteries, parks, what have you. But because they can be placed anywhere, you need to make sure they're safe. Like, don't put a point of interest in the middle of a big fountain. You don't want anyone swimming in. Also, don't put POIs on top of monuments or inside buildings. Now, when you create a typical, like a walking tour in UCPlaces, you're going to want to use this icon, off-road. It's the guy walking with the stick, okay? The guy that's just walking, that is to be used for when you're in an area where the GPS is not reliable. For example, New York City, if you're walking amongst like big high-rise buildings. We hardly ever use this one. Typically, it's going to be your off-road guy with a stick. So after you've chosen your tour type, go ahead and pick a name. National Mall, why not? Okay. Now, every tour is made up of multiple POIs. A tour needs to have at least one POI and a name in order to save it. Now, the first POI, this is important, it must be on a public road. Let's zoom in and get some examples here. This would be a public road. This, not a public road. Has to start on a public road. If you begin a tour not on a public road, chances are it might not even trigger. So we want to make sure, again, public road for POI 1. We also recommend that POI 1 not be the first actual main point in your tour. Typically, POI 1 should be located near parking, a crosswalk, somewhere public and drivable. And it's going to be more of a short, hey, you've arrived at the start of the tour. Please head north on 3rd Street. Now let's have our first POI be right outside of this metro station. When you place the POI, it shows up in the tabs of the creation panel. So notice above the number 1 POI, there's this Running Man tab. That's for the intro, and we're going to talk about that later. So I like to zoom in really close when I place my POIs. Let's zoom in here. See how I'm dragging the map around? Let's switch to satellite. Little guy's going to help us out. Is this where we want to be? Yeah, there's the metro station. All right, cool. If you decide you want to move your POI, you can just drag him around. So we'll put it right there. Remember, you don't want to put any of the POIs on top of the buildings. And remember, POI number 1 has to be on a drivable area. Okay, there's POI 1. Now let's give it a title, okay? We're number 1 here. Let's scroll down. Title. How about let's begin? Cool. Now I want you to make sure you click the save button at the end of this. The save button will be your friend, trust me.